Hello and welcome back to Xenonauts. Last time Charlie 3 had a really dodgy mission trying to capture a downed landing craft. We just about did it. Charlie 1 had a much easier time on a mission they went on, smoothly taking out an alien team and capturing a craft. And Charlie 3 went out again for another mission that somehow went okay. It went kind of badly, but we ended up not losing any crew members in the end. Now some more missions are available, but I'm waiting for daytime to go on them. As I wait, more UFOs keep showing up. We only have the capacity to go after one of them right now, so I'll send a couple of Foxtrots out. But while we wait for that, we actually get a message about a new terror mission appearing down in southern Africa. We need to do this as a priority, so Charlie 1, who are currently hovering over the Sahara somewhere, are going to be retasked to go take a look at that. Meanwhile, Charlie 2 were hovering over a landed UFO that annoyingly took off just before we arrived, so we couldn't attack it. And now I also can't split the helicopter off from the Foxtrots. The Foxtrots could easily just pursue the UFO and down it, but because you can't split squadrons for whatever reason, now we're stuck flying really slowly, so they have to slowly fly back to base and then split, so that's going to take ages. In the meantime, the Foxtrots from Concrete, unburdened by helicopters, easily down an enemy corvette. Now, fortunately, the craft that took off and escaped from us actually landed again, not very far away, and I was able to double back on myself and still end up attacking it, and this happened just before the terror mission, so we'll look at this first. Outside the helicopter, we spotted a drone just behind that wall. The civilian that's standing in front of it tanks all of its fire, as I had hoped, since it could have come around the corner and shot a whole load of my guys from that position. Now I'm going to pursue it, knowing it probably didn't move very far since it used time units shooting, and indeed it's in this little workshop, and Mr. Ged was able to kill it in one hit. Lucky that he did, because he probably wouldn't have had the points to move away if the thing had survived and started shooting back. Anyway, now I started moving into these workshops with most of the squad, looking for more targets. We spotted the UFO over to our left and an Andron standing outside it. I left Jimobile and Friendfire, our gunners, to just overwatch this area. The Andron walked out of line of sight and hid in the corner for now, but there's another one off to our north. This guy is going to be nice and easy to engage, as it turns out, because he's just standing in the open, in the road, and I've got McScope in one of the workshops. He shoots through the window and gets a one-hit kill with his precision laser. These Androns are certainly meant to be engaged with laser weapons. You're supposed to have them a long time ago, I think. We just still haven't rolled them out due to the various problems I keep alluding to. Now, the Andron we saw earlier comes around the corner. Jimobile gets a tiny bit of damage on it, but nothing too special, and in the next turn I can fire again to finish the job. There we have it. After this, we need to search the upstairs of the building using someone. I'm going to send Deadman Walkin. Not only to see if there's an alien up there, but to use the windows to find more targets and work out which direction to go next. And we actually do discover there's an alien across the road in that other building, so now we'll start engaging this guy. The alien came out of the building in its turn and just stood there, and McScope once again just pops off the one-hit kill. This precision laser is pretty good. I think giving everyone a precision laser might not be the worst idea, not that we can afford anything like that. Now, as I was setting up to go for the UFO, another drone appeared and shot into our flank, doing some damage to Snail Racer, I think that is. That guy only has the basic starting equipment, so he really can't do anything in this mission. He's just standing there absorbing fire, I suppose. In this case, I happen to have McScope up on the second floor of the building, and he can shoot out of the window and pick up another kill. He is carrying us through this mission. It became even more like that in the next turn when I discovered another alien back over in that building that we checked earlier. I can shoot through a window. Apparently that shot is blocked by the shelf to the left of the window. Doesn't look like it. But anyway, McScope manages to avoid the blockages and get a hit on the Andron. The Andron starts walking off to the right, taking a really cheeky shot at a civilian and somehow getting it. But then McScope, also just as cheeky, does another shot through a load of windows and takes out the Andron. He is just absolutely annihilating the enemy today. Now finally it was time to go take a look at the UFO. The attack started well because Andron just walked in front of the corridor and got immediately shot by a burst of gunnery. Good work. Now I need to check the inside to see what the enemy had to offer. There was an Andron inside the door. Wanted to just shoot it at point blank range with Mr. Get here, but as I got closer I discovered another Andron just behind it. this is a bit of a dodgy situation, so I thought let's run away, but then I realised we're actually going to have enough time units to shoot and run away. So let's try this out. We take a shot and we do kill the first Andron, and we have just enough time units to get out of any possible line of sight the enemy could get. That went well. In the next turn we charged back in and did the same thing to the second Andron. The laser shotgun is also pretty good, alongside the precision laser, suffice to say. Now, there were still more enemies inside. Another guy emerges from the next room, takes a shot and misses, fortunately enough. I moved most of the squad into the room and I was going to outflank this guy on the right, only I discovered there was another Andron behind that Andron I was trying to engage, protecting his flank, so we can't quite do that now. I'm going to move Mr. Get into a reaction fire position. He's watching the door from the flank, so if the Andron comes through, in theory, Mr. Get might just shoot it and prevent it from doing anything. Because I don't trust that at all, I'm also going to smoke the room up, so any shots coming in will also, in theory, be less accurate, although still haven't really confirmed that. I suppose there is some evidence of that here, because it comes through, it gets the first shot and misses, we get a shot and miss, and then a second shot does a little bit of damage there. That's something. Once the turn's over, the smoke will start to clear, and I guess the shooting will now be better for us. I'm going to use no brain to shoot at this Andron, saving Mr. Get's actions, because we know there's another Andron in the next room. Deadman Walkin pokes his head around the door and spots the enemy, and now Mr. Get can walk up onto its flank, take the shot, and there we go, a clean finish to the mission. We learned there that I actually only had 7 people, probably didn't even notice while playing the game because I'm usually barely paying attention, of course, but overall a pretty good mission. Just one small wound onto Snail Racer, and he wasn't providing any utility anyway, so not having him here at all probably would have been fine. Now, right after that, we'll of course go right into this terror mission. As soon as we set down, there's a target, an Andron. Looks like it's going to be an Andron's terror mission then. For this first guy, I'm going to send Betty Buckshot out to just go and take him out with a quick attack, but as I move on the left, I spot a blue Andron, a new type of enemy. This is a heavier Andron, since, as mentioned at the end of the last part, this mission is going to introduce some of the aliens' next technology tier units, or what have you. So stronger enemies are going to start spawning into the game, and prove to us that we're lacking in equipment, obviously. That first Andron goes down okay. I set up around the helicopter and we spot plenty of targets moving around in the area, including a big flying thing which then disappeared. The Andron that we saw initially shoots a civilian in the street, another Andron appears behind it and shoots another civilian in the street, so our civ shield is down. I think the AI does prioritize attacking the civilians if they're like slightly nearer to them than you are, so they draw fire quite effectively, but we can't rely on that anymore. Anyway, so now we do have some shots onto these enemies that we can use. Berm Headshot's going to shoot at the further away Andron, because I thought there's a chance that even if the shot doesn't line up with the more distant one, it'll hit the closer one by accident. We actually did hit the more distant one, as it happens. As for the closer one, we'll try and attack with Hillary High Cal. The burst goes out, but not much damage is done, lots of misses, and these guys seem to have a chance to just resist ballistic attacks and stop it from doing any damage. Verfinau's a bit closer with a laser, but he can't do anything. Now I just have to end the turn because I can't make any more attacks. The flying thing reappears but doesn't do anything. The Andron shoots through a couple of windows at Barrel's scrape. Verfinau's trying some reaction fire but it's not helping. We spot an Andron coming around to the left of the house that's on our flank, we'll keep that in mind. And the Andron that was slightly further away is now getting slightly closer, as you might imagine. So now another round of shooting for us, and again the Androns aren't really in cover, so that's good news. Verfinau has the choice of firing at the Andron or the flying thing. I'm going to go for the Andron, which in retrospect is the wrong choice. The flying thing is a much more high priority target. I just didn't know this at the time. I presumed it would be sort of useless like the regular drones. As for the alien we're trying to shoot at, the Andron, sorry, Verfinau doesn't manage to get the kill, but Hillary High Cal finishes it off there. Now I sent Betty Buckshot around the corner of the house to fire at the flying thing. She got a good hit and it just explodes all of a sudden. So that was good, clearing out some space I suppose. We can move through there now. And she was just about able to get back into cover as well. In the alien turn, the guy that was coming around the left side of the house appears. We don't get the reaction fire from Ray and Prey and Big Iron that I'd set up over there, unfortunately. and more Androns are hanging about in the street for us to continue attacking. Looks like there's another one appearing in the distance. As for this guy at the side of the house, Rainprey tries to take a shot, but just kind of misses. It was a really bad volley. All the shots appear to get around the cover, but then miss upon landing on the target. Not quite sure what that means. So now we have to be really risky. Big Iron just needs to take a point-blank range shot. We get it, but it doesn't die. Luckily, it doesn't fire back. If it had, Big Iron could have been history. A second volley is enough to take down that Andron I've been just about to get back around the corner to avoid being sniped. Now we're back to shooting Androns in the street as they stand around. The good thing about these Androns is they don't bother with cover. That's their AI pattern, so they do tend to just stand there awkwardly and make it easy for you to shoot at them. We just struggle to do damage, that's our main problem. Here I could readjust Boehm's position and get a nice shot just over Verfenau's shoulder to take out the nearest of the Androns, and we'll just have to wait for the further away one to get closer so we can get a shot on it. That said, Verfenau's trying to shoot it now with reaction fire, and obviously that's not going to achieve anything. I sometimes wish you could turn reaction fire off, because it's actually wasting ammo, and eventually I'll have to spend time units reloading because he's just firing off like that. Now, Rainprey moved over to the left to take cover in a position that would let us look down the side of this house, and she gets shot by an Andron that's already standing there. So it looks like reaction fire is working for the enemy at least. I don't have a very good return shot because that little flower bed just under the window of the house, despite looking tiny, is going to block my bullet, so I thought I'll just forget that. We'll wait for him to come around the corner or something. But then, looking through the window into the house, we can see the flying guy is just out the back of the house, and there's another Andron in the kitchen. Seeing all this, I knew we were at risk of the enemy just walking up to point blank range and shooting us before we could get any reaction fire, and even if we did react, we wouldn't necessarily kill them before the enemy attacked. So I ran away and then waited to see what would happen. While we wait, Boehm Headshot can still take some long-range snipes at enemies down the street in the distance, getting some good damage there with 2 hits, but somehow not killing the enemy. I guess because this is the new tier of enemy, they have loads of health or resistance to laser-type weapons. We're supposed to have the plasma weapons, I imagine. I've been able to research them for a really long time, but obviously our research has been on the go slow and on the catch-up the entire time, so I haven't been going for it. In this case, Verfenau was able to do some sniping of his own and actually bring the enemy down, so good work from him. Before I ended the turn, I used Useless to smoke up Verfenau. I thought he was at risk of the enemy just walking down the side of the house and technically getting a shot that wouldn't count as him being in cover with that car. Meanwhile, most of our team was hiding behind this car just in the driveway of the house. Some shots come in from the flying thing, not doing any damage, but we at least saw that it can attack us at range. It just hadn't done so far. And the 2 Androns don't do very much, they just get a bit closer. With Betty, I fired 1 shot off at the Andron in the house and then continued Operation Run Away, so now we're totally out of their line of sight. I hoped to wait for the enemy to come around the corner where this hedge was, and then we just blast them at point blank range. That's the theory at least, and Verfenau has slightly moved in order to put some cover between him and the alien's direction of attack. An Andron appears, Useless starts firing, but it doesn't do all that much. The Andron does a really cheeky shot through the hedge at Betty, fortunately missing. Verfenau and Useless are still trying to shoot this guy, but nothing comes of it. Then Hilary Highcal gets a really good burst of reaction fire onto the Andron coming out of the door of the house, doing loads of damage, obviously still not enough to kill it, but that's probably got it pretty close. I thought maybe she can repeat that success. I fired again at the door, and even though the door itself would technically be blocking a line of sight there, luckily it's turned temporarily ghostly, so we were able to kill the Andron with that burst. As for the closer one, the usual strategy is now available. Betty can walk out around the hedge and have lots of time units for shooting. The first shot doesn't kill, the second shot also doesn't kill, and now I'm getting out of there because we were lucky to not get shot back at, and she's out of ammo. I think these enemies resist laser fire in the same way that the green Androns resist ballistic fire, since they're like 1 tech level above, as I said. Probably anyway, none of this is research, this is just my presumption from what I'm seeing on this one mission. Anyway, we did take the guy down using Big Iron, as we saw. Then I needed to advance up, essentially. I'm going to smoke the other side of the hedge and put my team in it, ready to look for this flying thing, which he knows around here somewhere, and just hope it comes into view so we can take a shot. A purple Andron appears on the corner of the house and then walks away after Verfenau shoots it. We spot the flying thing for a second, moving away from us there. I'm just going to end the turn again because I don't want to advance before I know where the enemy are. The purple guy comes back, gets shot again by Xenonauts, then he walks over and takes a shot at possibly useless, I think that's Hillary Hightower. Anyway, whoever it is, Xenonauts decides let's just kill this guy and shoots the Andron down. He's doing pretty well in this mission. Now I just clicked end turn like 10 times in a row because the enemy stopped coming at me, they weren't attacking, so I might as well just let time pass, since in terror missions after 20 turns have passed it reveals the map. So here we go, now we can see where the enemy are, that's going to make our life easier. The flying thing's still hanging about behind the house, the next house over has an Andron in it, and then the house after that has 2 Androns in it, so that's what we're working against. We'll focus first on taking out the flying thing, the closest enemy. It happened to go over into the garden of the next house, giving me some time to set up in this house, ready to engage it. The hope is that by standing around the windows, we'll get some sort of close range engagement opportunity. And indeed we do, the thing floats back over, so now we can go up to the window and get some good high accuracy shots. First, Betty Buckshot goes up to the window here in the living room. Looks like a pretty clear shot, however things don't go to plan because after I fire, it resists the damage. So I guess you really are supposed to have plasma weapons to attack these things. A second attack does some actual damage, but then it fires back, doing loads of damage, 70 something I think it was. The only reason Betty didn't die was because she has extreme health because of her experience. For some reason gaining experience in the game increases your health, just like in real life. So now she's in trouble. I'm going to move Xenonauts to act as a meat shield and to take another shot at the thing, hoping to get the kill, but he misses. I think that was pretty unlikely to happen. This is not the time for bad luck. Betty Buckshot is in danger. I'm going to smoke the interior of the house, so if it does start shooting through the window, it's less likely to hit anything. I really wanted though to kill it this turn to avoid the danger. I realised what we could do is send Big Iron Billy out of the kitchen door to make an attack. Since the thing's already done reaction fire this turn, we're unlikely to take reaction fire walking up to it like this and taking a shot. We get a load of damage, but not enough to kill it, so I'm going to use the last of my points to get out of there, just about, maybe getting out of its line of sight. I think technically I'd still count as being in its line of sight in the door. Anyway, I'm going to move the rest of my team over to just be in the area. The more people are around, the more people who aren't Betty Buckshot and could be shot there are. So everyone's being a meat shield for Betty now. As it happens, the drone shoots Xenonauts, doing 30 something damage this time. Obviously the damage spread on its weapon is very large, which is kind of annoying. I think the game might be more fun if things had more standard damage so you can sort of plan ahead. Anyway, no deaths, that's what we needed. I thought now we have this guy because Hillary Hightower has a clear shot onto it, but apparently she also doesn't. The hedge that it's floating over is considered cover for it. I thought surely not. Shot and the hedge blocked my bullets. What's actually happening here is the drone counts as 2 tiles worth of enemy. You can choose to shoot either at the left of the drone or the right, and because I clicked on the left side and because the game's weird, even though the thing's floating over the hedge, it's considered as being in cover behind the hedge, but only its left side. So this doesn't really work. But here you can see me discovering that I can fire at the closer part of the drone with Xenonauts, and we get the kill, destroying the aforementioned hedge. So that enemy's pretty good. It can both move through impassable cover and still use it, while also being in a position to shoot through it or over it because it's flying in some weird way. Anyway, it's dead now. After that, I discovered a chance to use Big Iron's rocket launcher. One of the Androns is standing near the wall of that house, so I thought let's fire the rocket launcher at the wall, and indeed this has the desired result. It applies the full damage through the wall and kills the enemy before it even saw us. That's good stuff. I was so impressed with this rocket attack that I tried to make another one. I left Big Iron holding the launcher, moved up to the other end of the bus, and saw an opportunity to do the exact same thing on the next house over. Another Andron standing in the corner, completely unawares. We just shoot at the corner and the explosion kills the Andron instantly. This is good stuff. Maybe we should just give all of our guys precision lasers and rocket launchers and ignore the rest of weapons and we'd be okay. Don't really feel like experimenting, but might be a good build. Anyway, the mission came to an end when Hillary Hightower got a cheeky shot through a window to kill the final Andron before it even aggroed onto us. And there we have it. No deaths, which was much better than expected for how dodgy the mission seemed the whole time. I was disappointed that we got barely any money despite killing loads of high-tech enemies. We weren't rewarded, which is the game's classic move for doing a harder mission, obviously. The reward is that the locals hate us a bit less, or something, and we might one day make some money off them as a result, but no actual tip for saving them. We bring back the medium drone, as it's apparently called, and our analysis decides that it's some sort of armoured mini UFO. It's got great offense, great defense, and as we saw, it can move through walls and also take cover behind those walls while not getting a penalty for shooting from behind cover. Basically, it's the ultimate thing, because it doesn't really work in the game engine. Back in the base, I'm going to spam as many weapon constructions as I can to try and get our teams up to speed. We need more offensive power, and we're probably pretty far behind the curve, as I keep saying, but I have no way of knowing really. This is just my guess from how it feels. We also complete a research on the alien communication array that we captured from one of their bases. All this does is unlock another research, so not immediately useful, but this other research promises to give us forewarnings of what the aliens are going to be doing with their UFOs and what sort of enemies are on them, and I thought that sort of strategic information might be very good for avoiding disastrous engagements. So we're going to take that. I think it may also allow us to know if a UFO is planning on attacking one of our bases as well, which might come in vital later on. Now another wave of UFOs showed up. They always seem to appear in waves rather than one at a time, just to be annoying. We intercept a corvette and 2 fighters over Africa with a squadron from Concrete. So here we go for another one of these slightly annoying fights where it's too well balanced. It's not going to be obviously easy. I split my squadron into 2 directions to try and split the enemy up at the same time, but it looked like one of their fighters was about to attack one of my Condors, so I had to engage just to avoid being shot in the flank. I'm going to use the evasive roll on the Condors to dodge their missiles. Oh, thanks to everyone who told me that the Foxtrots can't do evasive roll. Little note to the developers, don't put the ability button there if they don't have it, just for future reference. Anyway, we took down the fighter that was engaging our Condor, then we kind of got trapped in the corner of the map. We're technically not trapped here because, although I don't know it yet, you can scroll the map to reveal more space to use. I just never realised that was the case, and obviously it doesn't tell you. We somehow avoided getting hit too much by the fighter that trapped us, I think because it was firing at our interceptor, but the interceptor moved so fast that it just outpaced the missiles and they flew behind it. And in the end, we were easily able to take out the corvette because it was just aggroing left and right and we could get behind it without much issue. So there we go, we've created a crash site in Africa for us to investigate. Now I want to contrast that combat with another very similar combat that then happened over Siberia. I sent a squad with the same composition from Hammersickle to attack an enemy squad with the same composition. We also ended up facing them head on, and I used the same strategy of trying to go to the sides to see if the enemy fighters would turn off and leave the corvette. It seemed to work at first. I'm here going to use the evasive roll again to stop this fighter from being hit, but the enemy also used evasive roll, dodged one of my missiles while also firing another missile, and the end result is we hit each other with missiles and both of them got taken down, so that sucked. Meanwhile, I managed to dodge the other fighter's attacks with my fighter, then take it down with my Condor successfully. But my evasive roll that I did with the Condor took me really close to the corvette's arc of fire, and my fighter got instantly destroyed as a result. I had to have my Foxtrot run away, obviously, because it couldn't do anything, and just for some closure, we got some more missiles, came back, and did finish the job. We'll get our Condors back for free, by the way, because they can't be destroyed. You can actually pick up the wreckage and just rebuild them, and it doesn't cost anything. So that's handy, something that the game's being nice to us about. Anyway, so the end result is we've got 2 missions up on the docket right now for Charlie 1 and Charlie 2, and we'll go on them next time.